Alright, hello, this is Josh with Logic Chronicles, and we're going to continue with the quest system right now. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the folder where the actors are that you should have made, and come over to the quest manager, and in here I'm just going to show you basically what's happening, right? Because last time we were talking about these events, right? So the whole point is, whatever happens in the world, you just want to send the event to the manager. So the manager gets the event, and then you're going to have this array. And this is all the quests that are spawned in the world. So that'll be all of these base quests that are spawned in the world. And what it's going to do is going to have this list, and it's going to send this list to all of them. And it's going to say, okay, with all of these quests, tell each and every one that this dialogue option was picked. They get that information. Tell them that this character spoke. They get that information, and so on. And then over here, you basically do the same thing and say, okay, once something changed in inventory, you picked up an item. Okay, tell the quest that. A door was opened or closed. You tell the quest that, and that's the whole idea. And yep, there we go. That'd be the whole idea of that, and so on and so forth. So like every single time that something important happens, it'll just cycle through all of the quests and just give them the information. So whichever one needs it, they can use it and just keep going. Alright? And then other than that, what I'm basically doing is, this right here is just an ID. So remember over in the save quest, right? On the save struct. Come here. We gave each of the quests an ID so we can reference them. Well, this is that ID. We want to reference the quest, and then here's the ID again. So that way we know which quest belongs to which. So we can reference it there, and we're saving all this information. Some of this is just stuff for default that I used in the intro, just so you can see how it kind of sets up. So we know, all right, this quest is what was saved was this was the ID of the quest. Again, the ID. Right now, this quest is still in progress. The quest index is 0. Nothing's being gathered. That's not important right now for this quest. There's no branching for this quest, so that's not important either. But we have some journal entries. All right. The first journal entry is in progress. It is in progress. The class that is spawned for this quest is this test class right here, and I have the start date, which is important. The entry date's not important. Again, just stuff features I'm working on. Whereas this quest right here, it's still in progress. You know, all that information. This quest is this entry is active. This is the class, and that's basically all we need to do just to save it. All right. So when I come back, yeah, so that's all we need to do just to save the information. And this needs to be exposed on spawn so that as soon as we make this quest manager, we can just put that information straight in. And then this last variable right here is just something I'm doing, so it's just that custom entry, so it just puts in the date. All right, this is the name of the entry, and you say, okay, this is what I want to know. This is the information about it. It's just for the player. It's not really too important right now. But for the most part, that's all this really needs, all right, in terms of variables. Now what you want to do is, we have some of these stuff, right? The construction script, nothing's going on. But over here, what this is let me go to the try spawn first. This try spawn is basically, when you get the quest, you would just want to try to attempt to spawn it first to make sure that the quest manager is the only one that's spawning in quest. And you might want to come back here later and put conditions here and say, okay, did you complete, if this quest is trying to spawn, cast to it. Alright, did you complete this quest first? Did you complete that quest second? And you can just kind of keep going through just different logic if you need to filter out quests to prevent some quests from happening or whatever the situation may be. And then what I'm doing is I'm just taking wherever the quest manager spawned, I'm just going to take its location and then spawn that quest class right there. And that's all that's going to happen. I'm going to feed in the quest information for that quest. Alright, and I'll actually go back and show you where that's coming from first before I do that. Because I forgot that's the one information we need. The only thing you need to do is just worry about this. It's just a quest save struct inside the base quest actor. And that's just what's going to be passed through, so exposed on spawn. And that's it. Sorry about that. Should have said that first before I went into that. But if I come back over here, that's now where we get this. So that way we're just going to spawn the quest into the world, and then we're going to keep track of the quest that's spawned here. That's very important. That way, once it's spawned, we have it as a reference. We can send it messages. Alright, now under the try spawn, or the init spawn, what this is going to do is going to go through all the quest information that we have. It's going to come through, and it's going to try to spawn every single quest that was saved. So this right here will is basically all the quest information that's active in the world. So we're just going to try to get all that information, and we're just going to spawn all the quests with those information. And then what I'm doing in the event graph, I'm just waiting a delay, and this is mostly so, you know, when you're trying to get things from a save file and you want to initialize things, you just want to have a delay so that, you know, you can actually make sure that like, say your game instance or your game mode actually loaded in the save first, it's referenced. Then under this init save, you would kind of throw that in there and just kind of go whatever. For this, it's not really going to be too much of a problem, only because we're exposing a spawn, so as soon as the quest manager is built, it's already going to have that information, so it won't need that. But in case, you know, if you don't want to spawn in the quests, and say the quest needs to do a check first, it needs to check if things exist in the world before it can start doing the quest, you know, it's just a good idea to delay it first a couple seconds, that way some things can initialize. So it's basically just spawning in all those quests. The next thing I'm doing right here is update quest information, and all this is doing is it's going through all the quests that exist in the world, and it's getting the save struct from them, which I'll explain what this quest function does in a second. It's from the actual quest, the base quests themselves, but it's just getting this information and just adding it to the quests themselves. All right, or to the quest information. That way, it could be saved later. All right, and we'll get back to that in a second. All right, that's hold on. Come here. Yeah, try spawn quest. All right, we gotta do those. Let me see if this. Yeah. So we go to this one first. All right. So this thing right here is just it tries to make a new quest, and this is only needed for randomization. You may not even need to do this at all, to be honest. But all this does is it basically comes through, and it if you want to try to randomize quests, like say you want to have a bounty system, so your player can always just go to like a police station and always pick up a bounty, and then they can go out in the world and do whatever. Well, what's really important is we need to actually reference that quest from another quest. And the reason is, if they both use the same quest class, and it's just small logics inserted here and there, like say instead of this is the name of the villain you're trying to get, you have this villain, but essentially it's the same quest. It's just a generic randomized quest. You want to be able to differentiate between the two. So I'm going through this for loop right here with break, and I'm just trying to see, okay, does this ID already exist? And then just come here and just make sure it does not exist. If it doesn't exist, then add it and break from the loop. And I'm just saying this variable as just temporary for now down here. And I don't know, what am I using this counter for? Turns out I'm not using this counter. So I shall delete it. Yep. That's what's going on. So it's just a way of making sure that the IDs are completely different. Because if you remember over here, when we try to spawn, when we initiate the quest, it's for another function, actually. We're not there yet. But when you go through here, right, it goes a for loop, and it tries 100 times to try to get a different name. It's kind of OP. There's probably better ways of doing this, but, you know, what it'll do is just take the, it will take the, whatever index it is right here. It will grab, right here, it'll grab the ID that you want it to spawn under. Ideally, this quest would be like whatever the base type of quest it is. So it's like the idea would be like randomized quests hunt. Each randomized quest that you're trying to hunt down a character, it just depends. So this is the first one you got. This is the 100th one you got. The second, you know, the third, and so on and so forth. And it's just appending these together to make it kind of randomized and go through. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add something here. I'm going to add temp array. And I'm going to make this a string array. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say get. I'm going to plug that in there. And then say length. And then come here and say random integer within random range string within range. So the whole point of we'll have that one be there. It'll be like that. The point of this is just to kind of randomize it a little more, because hypothetically, let's say your person really likes these quests, and let's say he gets over 100, that's a problem. So I'm just gonna come here and just add some other things to come here, just some other things. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. That way now there's a possibility of like 700 of these being created. Or so, I believe. Just multiply it together, you know, something like that. So that way it just helps randomize it even more. That way if you actually do have a bunch of it, doesn't have to keep looping around. The chances of it, like, you know, when you first make it off, there's a 7%, there's like a, you know, like the first 7 quests you make should be completely random. Like there should be like, you know, 0 and then some letter between this and that right off the bat. It won't be as likely for you to fill up 100 like different quests right off the bat. So that's that. The next thing I'm gonna do is this function right here is just a so what this one does is just gonna get the information from the quest and plug it straight in. That's all it's doing. And it's just gonna store the information for the new quest. Whereas this one will actually store the information for the new quest, and if it succeeded in making a quest, it's gonna try to spawn the quest into the world for you to now play out. And that's based off of the functions that we've already just created, or you should have created. It's the make the new quest one, and then try spawn, and then we're just taking this break, and then I've just kind of blocked off all those pins except for the class, because this class right here is the only one that's important. And then we're just putting that information in and just spawning it. And now this one, get quest by ID. You want to throw in the ID name here. We're gonna run a for loop off of this. Yeah, we're gonna do a for loop off of this quest. So all the quests that are spawned in the world is really the only ones that we're gonna try to target to figure out which one is which. This might actually be not that useful. Okay, I see why I did it now. So you go through, you filter through them and try to figure out which ID is the ID you're looking for. If you find it, just return, and then just put the quest itself in there and also the data for the quest. And this one, if you can't find it, then that probably means it's not spawned into the world, but hopefully it's still I should really add this in here. Yeah. There we go. That way it looks through the information, checks, is it at least, maybe it's not spawned into the world, maybe you've already completed the quest. Excuse me. Maybe you haven't actually completed the quest. Maybe it's just like, maybe you've already completed this quest, it's not actually spawned into the world. So at least this will try to like bring out the information for the quest, even if it's not directly spawned. And then it will tell you, does it even exist at all? Alright? And that's basically it for this quest manager. And that's all that's going on here. So again, just make sure you actually set these up with all the events you want to fire off. Just do a for loop off of literally every single one, and then just send each quest the exact same information, going all the way through for each one. And that's how that works. Alright? Before I do, I haven't forgotten, there's one function. Try to get update. We're going to get to this one in 1 second. Alright? How we're going to get to that is we're going to come over to the base quest. And these are the functions that are all associated with this quest, okay? Or associated with the quest manager. And I'll just kind of go through them one by one as in order of importance. So the first things first is we want to expose and spawn the quest manager itself. That way we can have this as a reference because it'll be important. The next thing is we want to have this quest struct. And this will be the initial, this will just be like when you first spawn the quest, this is what should be spawned in so that the quest has this information so it can kind of initialize itself. After that, it will come over here, and these are some journal entries that we need just for the quest itself. It's not necessarily for stuff that'll be saved. It's just information that the quest has, so we can get these off of the default of this whatever class we're in. And if you look here, these are the journal entries itself. So if I'm going to go to a quest that's actually completed so you can to explain these set of variables. If I come over to any of these quests right here, come over to this one. Yeah, I'm going to go to default, no, class defaults. If I look over here in this quest, don't look at that yet. I have some, where are they? Some static quests, some static variables. So you see here, actually I'm not going to open this one, I'm going to open the other one that actually uses everything. This one. So if you look here, I have these journal entries, right? I need to travel to this location. Oh wait, so basically it starts off, he says, okay, I've already traveled to this location, that was a waste of time, let me try to get some money, right? So if you look over here, I need to pick up some money. That's all I gotta do. I need at least 6 of them. But if I come over here, what I'm looking at is, for this, I want to know exactly what I'm doing. So I want to get some money. This is how many I need to get. And that's basically what that's doing. And these have to be the same indexes so they can reference each other later when we actually display it. And this is just saying, okay, so under this right here, this is the actual description of what I'm trying to do. This is the entry we're talking about. And then right here, this is the index of this array. What is the maximum gather amount you need, right? And that's what this is going under. So when I hit and play this, you just kind of go through this a little bit. If I hit this, if I come over to this gather, this is the actual explanation of what we have going on. Right here is that title of what the whole goal is. And right here it just tells you a counter, okay, this is the maximum you need for the goal. This one right here I'll explain in 1 second, but that's just how many you have currently. So now if I come back to here, that's how this is playing off, right? So this is what's the message that's being displayed. That's what you're just kind of giving the player, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Now this one right here is just that smaller goal saying, okay, this is the count, the description of the count you're trying to get. And right here is the actual count maximum you need. And that's what those are doing, okay? Now back over to the base quest. Static. So that's what these are doing. So you're going to want to do this. So it's just a name going to a string, an integer going to a float. Now you want to, having the quest name is pretty handy to have, so you might as well throw that in there. And then you want to reference, well, what kind of quest is this? Is it a main quest? Is it a epic quest? Is it a side quest? Is it randomized? And so on and so forth. And then here is that gather info that I was telling you about. That's what that is. So that'll be the things that are associated with the quest. These are all static variables that we'll just reference. They're not going to be saved. These are just part of the quest. Okay? Next thing is these are relevancy checks, or used for relevant checks. So like, let's say off the begin play, I want to go search the world and check if a certain actors have been spawned into the world. And if they have, okay, good. I'm going to store them here. So now I have the actor that you need to kill that's relevant. I have the actor that you need to kill that's relevant. I have a door you need to go through. I have an item that needs to be picked up. Those are the references. Now, let's say hypothetically it's not necessarily a specific one, but say, for instance, this money right here that I have over here. All these little coins. It doesn't matter which one I pick up. I just need to pick up a bunch of them. So what I need to do is just check the class. All right, I need the money class. So I can check through over here is like, okay, money is a really important class for this quest. So every single time you come over here, and the quest manager says, okay, an item was picked up, this is the class, you can come here and say, okay, this class is relevant, so I can start filtering classes out. So I can start filtering that out. So once the quest gets this message, I'm just going to filter out by the class itself. And then you can do that for other things too. Like say you have NPCs that you're just randomly killing, and only one of them needs to be like the boss that you have to kill. Well, this one can be specifically filter everything out but the boss. So once you kill the boss, we can kind of filter through. The main reason for this is you can't just it's kind of annoying trying to just store the information like this. Like I can't just come here, or maybe I can. I take that back now. But it's just if you need to, there are just two different ways of doing it. Not quite sure. I remember I was having a problem actually trying to store these earlier. I don't know why. But the other thing is, for classes, for widgets, we want to actually check the widgets themselves. So it's just a matter of taking the class for the widget. So let's say you have a very specific book you need your player to open up and just read. Well, once they open that up, this will be the widget class for that book. And if you open up the right one, they read it, quest continues. You can filter out all the widgets your character has looked at. If you want to go over and read like a tablet on a tombstone and say, okay, as soon as you read this tablet, all of a sudden a boss is going to come in behind you. And then, you would filter out the classes based off of that. Alright? And these dynamic variables, I'll go over those in the next video. I want to pause it here just to kind of keep these videos somewhat short, because I feel like I'm probably going through this stuff kind of quickly, kind of fast. So I'm just going to kind of pause it here, just go back to the video if you need to, kind of get the idea going, and then we'll start on these dynamic variables and start getting into some of the functions. See you next time.